Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Steve. Today I want to talk about something that is relatable to all retirees and pretty much to anybody that's not retired too. And that is tipping. Now, tipping has become a highly controversial subject just because the changes in tipping culture in the U.S. and the differing opinions that people have about it, depending on which side, whether you're the tipper or the tippee, your opinion's probably going to vary. In this case, uh, I'm going to be looking at it from a retiree standpoint, um, and talk about how tipping has evolved and whether or not retirement has changed how you uh, tip for services rendered. So, like a lot of you retirees, I'm a baby boomer, and back in the day, people that got tips or that worked for tips mainly were servers in restaurants. Actually, back then it was a waiter or a waitress, um, maybe a bartender, possibly a taxi driver, um, uh, beauticians, possibly barbers, nail techs, places like that. A tip was kind of customary, but even then, it was based on the service that you received. The better service, the better the tip. Uh, in my opinion, at least in the U.S., that's all changed. Tipping now has become more of an expectation by the employees and the employer versus as it's a reward for a job well done, going over and beyond, if you will. You know, you can go just about anywhere now, and if you pay for a credit card, and I say anywhere, I mean like a restaurant, uh, somewhere like that, you know, you get a takeout meal and you use a card, they'll flip the screen around and the person at the register is going to say, it's going to ask you some questions. Well, all it's going to ask you is, do you want to leave a tip? And of course, it's going to suggest what those tips are. Uh, this happens with takeout, with some drive throughs. Uh, I'll be honest, I had my oil changed one day at one of those 10-minute quickie lube places, and there was a place to leave a tip. Now, you could have knocked me over with a feather. I mean, I've never had the option to leave a tip for the guy that changed my oil. I don't exactly see how their service could have merited a tip. I guess it's kind of, I mean, to me, did you change the oil or not? And honestly, that's kind of what you got paid to do. Um, I did not leave a tip. Uh, I think what that stemmed from is that there was a car wash attached to the oil change place, and people do give tips to someone that cleans their car. Now, that I can understand. If they go above and beyond and clean in the extra nooks and crannies of your car, then maybe a tip is merited. I'm assuming that in this case it just kind of drifted over uh, from the car wash to the oil change. I can assure you the guy that changed my oil did not get a tip. Nothing against him, but again, based on service, I don't see where a tip was deserved. Some places now will even automatically charge you a tip. Now, it's always been customary at restaurants that large parties, uh, 5 or 6 or more, that they would automatically include a 15% or 20% uh, tip for your server or servers. Uh, I actually stopped doing business at probably one of my favorite restaurants um, in the area because the last time that I got a takeout order from them, now mind you, I said a takeout order. When I got my check, they had automatically added a 20% gratuity. Now, all they did was fix my lunch, put it in a box, put it in a bag, and handed it to me, and that was it. I imagine I could have said something and they would have removed that tip. However, because I went there a lot and I knew everyone, I just went ahead and paid my bill. And that was the last time that I went to that restaurant, which is unfortunate because their food was really good. But I'm definitely not going to uh, give my business to a place that doesn't even give me an opportunity to give a tip if I want to or not, and at the rate that I feel is deserving of the server. Um, Again, unfortunate. It was a good restaurant. You know, uh, on cruise lines, and my wife and I, we cruise quite a bit. Cruise lines will automatically charge gratuities. Um, However, they do give you the option that you can request to have those gratuities removed, and you can tip whoever you feel deserves the tip and in the amount that you want to tip them. And the cruise lines will be glad to take those tips off. Now, I do understand that I think there's one cruise line that has changed their rules, and it is not an option to remove those gratuities. But for the most part, you can take them off if you want to. I guess what I don't like about the current tipping culture, and let me say that really the only place that I've noticed this is in the U.S. Um, I've been fortunate enough to uh, go to Europe a couple of times, and the tipping culture in Europe is like a whole lot different than what it is here in the U.S. Uh, in Italy, uh, the Mediterranean, some of those areas, a tip is not expected. Uh, However, it is definitely appreciated. But their thought process on it is you give a tip for service that was highly above what was expected. And it's actually not like a 20% or something. They're happy with just a little bit. You know, maybe their employees pay them better and they don't have to rely on tips for their salary. I don't know. But again, tipping, it seems like everybody's got a tip jar or a place on the receipt to put your tip. Um, if you get DoorDash, there's a place for a tip. If you get a Walmart delivery, there's a place for a tip. And I guess I get it. I mean, if I was the employee, then yeah, I would want that tip. But as the customer, I still have to think, okay, what did you do special above, what you're getting paid to do? I guess it's kind of what it boils down to. Personally, I would rather see tips go away completely. And if the employers needed to raise the price, to compensate for the part of their employees' salaries that come from tips, then that's okay. Actually, I think that would make it a much more even playing field for the employees and for the customers because you know what to expect. I mean, again, the employees would know what they were getting, and the customers would know what they were expected to pay. Today, it's just, you know, it's just all over the place as to who gets what and what you do. And how this relates to retirement, obviously in retirement, we're counting our dollars, at least a lot of us are. And uh, going out to eat for some may be something you don't do very often. For some, you may do it a lot. But the expectation of a tip has an impact on the cost of your meal. So, as a retiree, have you changed your tipping habits? Do you still tip your hairdresser or your barber the same that you used to? Uh, are you a 15%, 20%, or 25% tipper at a restaurant? Or, you know, do you tip on the credit card that you use to pay, or do you leave cash? You know, there's options to do it either way, and there's probably good and bad for, you know, all ways to do it. I don't really know. Like everything else, um, it's personal preference. Whatever you feel comfortable with. Uh, you know, it's like a lot of things. You tip your way, I'll tip mine. Um, but I'm curious to know what you do. Let me know in the comments how you feel about the current tipping culture in the U.S. and how you do your tips or not do your tips. Um, I appreciate your input. I hope you liked the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, click that subscribe button. That doesn't cost you anything, and it'll help us to build our channel. Thank you so much for watching. And by the way, there's no place to leave a tip for the video. Have a great day.